Alright YouTube, so if you saw the thumbnail and title of this vlog, you'll know what this vlog's about. It's another movie pitch, but this is one I have yet to do before because it's more like a cinematic universe movie style pitch. I'll be talking about the idea I have of a Ben 10 cinematic universe movie pitch. So to start, I'll say the inspiration for this vlog came from a post I saw on Instagram where the user talked about his childhood shows he thought would make like great cinematic universes and that could maybe even overcome the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So while I doubt that many series could do that, I do think it's a brilliant idea to see other characters rather than, DC and Marvel create their own cinematic universes. And some of the other franchises this user suggested were Power Rangers, Dragon Ball Z, and Digimon, which none of which I've really seen too much of. I do know little bits and pieces of each one, and I have seen solid amounts here and there, but overall not nearly as much as the Ben 10 series, which I grew up loving and watching, and even watched a lot of it about 4 years ago. I haven't watched too much then, but I remember hearing there was like a rumor about a Tom Holland Ben 10 movie, which had me excited, but then I think it got canceled. But if that was just a hoax that I only saw bits and pieces of, like some of those other franchises. But now I'm just going in circles, so I'll get to the point and start off this movie cinematic universe movie pitch. So to start, I think an origin story would be perfect, because I think a 10-year-old boy finding an alien space device that turns him into aliens is, a brilliant movie pitch from the 2000s, brilliant TV show pitch rather, but certainly translate and hold up well today. I've watched many of the episodes years ago, not too many years ago, and after this vlog I'll probably check out some series if I can find it, but I have been exploring the web and watching or looking at images of, potential cinematic universes for the series, and that's where I got the thumbnail from. So I think an origin story would be the perfect way to start off the first movie. And like I've said a million times to death, I think as long as they stay true to the source material and stay what's important about the series and follow mostly pretty much this live action version of the animated series, that it could translate perfectly. Because I think ultimately what would make this cinematic universe so good would just be seeing the everything that made the Ben 10 franchise awesome on the big screen in Hollywood movies. Now, I know there have been a few live-action Ben 10 movies, but they were not the greatest because of the low budget and TV show. I mean, I liked them when I was young, but, they probably don't really hold up very well. But a Hollywood budget IMAX Ben 10 movie would be brilliant. And what I love about this franchise is it's sort of similar to Marvel and DC. There's so much more than meets the eye, that there are, initially the 10 aliens, which was a great concept, but there are, thousands, 10,000s after in the later franchise. But even outside of that, when we learn more about why the Omnitrix came to Earth and the other characters in Ben's lives, it was definitely very compelling and interesting to say the least. And some characters or actors I have seen fan cast for Ben 10 himself, include two big names, Timothy and Tom Holland, which are cool actors in Dune and Spider-Man. But personally, I'd rather see someone a bit younger, actually a lot younger, maybe 18 to 20 would be a great age, because I know Ben 10 is 10, but realistically, when are we going to find an actor anywhere close to that age? Probably not, but not that it's impossible, but I think it would be good to stick with late teens to very early 20s. That way, this actor could portray the franchise well, but that way it wouldn't need to take forever for it to see him grow up. It could be just sort of the perfect age, in my opinion. But it's not about necessarily the character Ben 10, but rather also the aliens would translate brilliantly on screen. Like we saw this fake but hard-going picture of Ghost Freak, which I think would be a brilliant villain for the live-action cinematic universe. I might be a bit biased because I'm creating a ghost horror movie with Pokemon Gengar, so maybe that's a bit of a bias for me that I don't even realize, but I really found this villain to be super cool because, it was not originally going to be part of the Omnitrix, that apparently was snuck in there, and later Ben 10 had to get him out of there because he was such an evil villain, and he replaced him with Cannonball, who was a super cool alien as well. I think, I'm going in circles now, so I'll say that I think the nostalgia, the heart, and the cool aliens would be brilliant on the big screen with a Hollywood budget. And I do remember one thing I want to say in this vlog, because I have a prop below me, that Gray Matter, I remember him being one of his species sent the Omnitrix, and he kind of reminds me of Yoda, and I love Star Wars and Yoda. So until then, this has been another movie pitch series vlog for Ben 10, and still then, stay tuned for more soon. Thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.